This is what's wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Eric Orff. Well, this is Sunday, May 11th, 2025. This is Mother's Day. And by popular demand, I'm back at the Old Mill restaurant here. Look at that big giant boulder there. Erratic. It was deposited by a glacier 10,000, 15,000 years ago. Yeah, giant boulder here at the Old Mill restaurant. Used to be here in Epsom, just south of the Epsom Circle. But I'm at the dam called the Huckins Mill Dam. So this is Mother's Day. So let's reflect back on Mother's Day in 2006. Let's take a look at my book right here. This book is called What's Wild. It's by Eric Orff, published it last fall. And I wrote a story a couple of days after the great Mother's Day flood of 2006, May 16th, 2006. Let me read a little bit from my book here, called The Day the Suncook River Flowed Upstream During the Great Mother's Day Flood of 2006. So looking at the dam, for much of the night and well into the day of Tuesday, May 16th, 2006, the Suncook River actually flowed upstream from the Old Mill Dam, right there, in Epsom, all during the highest flood in 100 years on the river. In fact, the river flowed north, opposite from the direction it had flowed since the Ice Age. Indeed, a half-mile section of the Suncook River immediately upstream of the Old Mill Dam drained during the Great Mother's Day flood of '06. A half-mile upstream, a breach in the river's historic banking was drawing the river into an entirely new channel. It would literally suck the old riverbed dry in less than 24 hours. Not only did the new channel suck dry the riverbed above the two dams situated at the head of the series of falls that coursed either side of Bear Island, spelled here B-E-A-R. I have since learned it should have been B-A-R-E because when they put sheep out here, it was denuded of trees. It was supposed to be B-A-R-E Island, but it turned 2-mile-long stretches of the roiling, flooding waters on either side of Bear Island to dry riverbeds as well. Less than 2 days, 2.5 miles of the Suncook River in Epsom simply disappeared during a record flood. So now let's get back here, page 23. It was mid-afternoon, so the next day. So on the highest part of the flood was on Sunday, the 14th of May 2006. It was mid-afternoon when the manager of the Old Mill site first noticed a change in the flow of water that had been pouring 6 feet high over the top of the dam. So there's the dam. So here I am. So the water was up to where I'm standing right now, to the top of this new deck. By the way, they're putting a new deck on the Old Mill here. Something's happening. And good to see. Changes here. All right, where am I here? It was mid-afternoon. The manager of the Old Mill site noticed a change in the flow of water that had been pouring 6 feet high over the top of the dam at the Old Mill. A huge white pine tree, 60 feet in length, was forced almost over the dam by the powerful flow on the far side of the dam. All afternoon, he watched and heard the water flows gradually subside as it poured over the dam. By midnight, only a small flow, so this is Monday the 15th, by midnight, only a small flow of water was pouring over the dam. When he last checked at 2 a.m., the top of the dam was bare. So it went from having over 6 feet of water over the top of this dam by midnight the next night, the night of Monday the 15th, the top of the dam was dry. Now, I just looked up some flood records. Here we are. We've had a week or more of rain here in central New Hampshire. And the Suncook River, as of this Mother's Day, is up to a low flood stage. It crested last night, just before midnight, at a little over 8 feet above flood stage, or the flood stage was 8 point something feet. During the 2006 Mother's Day flood, there was actually 14 feet of water above the average. So above the top of that dam was 14, that wouldn't be correct here. So it was 6 feet over that, but the flood stage was at 14 feet high during the above average during the '06 flood. Interesting, a year later, A record was set on the Suncook River at 16 feet of floodwater. So the highest on record happened just a year later in April of '07 versus May of '06, the Mother's Day flood. All right, so here we go. Old Mill Restaurant, Epsom, New Hampshire, reliving the time that the Suncook River flowed backwards upstream during a 100-year flood. So I'm going to go to where the actual breach occurred, see if I can get there this afternoon. And this is by popular demand. I had somebody ask me, hey, Eric, can you tell us about the Mother's Day flood on the Suncook River in Epsom? And here I am, Mother's Day afternoon, evening, 6:15 p.m. on May 11th, 2025, talking about the Mother's Day flood of 2006. So I'm going to go to the other site to where the actual avulsion occurred. So this is wildlife biologist Eric Orff on the Suncook River. It is flooding, but the front of the dam here, it's just ponded water. In the summertime, this section of the river is totally dry. It dries right up. But we've had 5 inches of rain here, practically, 2.7 and 1.7, so 3.7. So over 4.5 inches of rain we've had in the last week or so. So the river is up, but here at the Old Mill Dam, the water no longer flows over the Old Mill Dam of the Suncook River. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orff. What's wild in New Hampshire?